Thank you. I do have the prime spots just before lunch and immediately after lunch. I value the one before lunch rather than the one after lunch because, we just want to rest. How are you feeling now? Yes. I hope you did the homework. I won't ask questions now, but later today I will ask some questions. I hope you did your homework. We'll continue with the prime text as it stands there to remind ourselves of why we're doing this, because we are connected to God. I was asked that I should introduce where I come from, because not everyone knows where Lesotho is in the map of the world and in Africa. So it's a tiny dot, as you might see it when you look at the map of Lesotho or South Africa. I won't put it now, but we'll share photos tomorrow. So Lesotho is often called the kingdom in the sky. It's distinguished by its mountainous terrain, highlands, plateaus, and hills. It is the only country in the world entirely above an elevation of 1,000 meters, with its lowest point at 1,400 meters, the highest lowest point of any country. It is roughly the size of Belgium, covering an area of 30,355 square kilometers. The Diocese of Lesotho encompasses the entire kingdom of Lesotho. Lesotho is being ruled by a monarch, so I'm the bishop of the kingdom. So the Anglican Church in Lesotho is part of the Anglican Church of Southern Africa, which includes South Africa, the Kingdom of Eswatini, the Highland of St. Helena, and Namibia. We used to have, before 2021, Angola and Mozambique, but they are now a province on their own, the Anglican province of Iama, which is a Portuguese-speaking province in Africa. So, as we live and move and have our being, we're reminded that God gives us our existence, guides our movements, and shapes our lives. The essence of human life is profoundly complex, filled with joys, challenges, uncertainties, and growth. Amidst this complexity lies a profound truth that transcends culture and religions. Our lives are intricately intertwined with a higher power. And for us as Christians, this higher power is God, not a distant entity, but an ever-present force that infuses our existence with purpose, guides our movements, and shapes our lives. So as we do this as clergy, look at God to infuse our existence with purpose, to guide our movements and shapes our lives, life happens in that space. And one of the things that happens in this life as we serve God is clergy burnout. Clergy burnout is a significant issue and could be some of the things that steals our joy. With various studies done highlighting the prevalence and the contributing factors, we realize that it's something that we cannot take lightly anymore. A study by Banner Group reported that 38% of priests, and they were looking at the United States and now it's expanding, that 38% of priests were at risk of burnout. So this is something that they started doing around 2017. Just in 2022, after I won't say we are not yet out of the pandemic of COVID. I haven't heard that we are out of the pandemic. We're still somehow in the pandemic. But around 2022, they did a study again and found that the number has risen. That now 42% of priests consider quitting full-time ministry. That just during the time of COVID, one realized ministry was something that the theological colleges didn't prepare us for. Research indicates that clergy work an average of 50 to 70 hours per week. I'm not sure, Australia, is it regulated, the hours that clergy? Oh, it's not regulated. That laughter tells me something. So it's not regulated. So we work around 50 to 70 hours per week. Others might say more. The high workloads and demands of constant availability are a major stress. In 2021, study that was done found that 75% of priests reported being extremely stressed or highly stressed due to their ministry and work. So according to the 2013 Duke Clergy Health Initiative study, it reported that 11% of clergy were diagnosed with depression compared to 6.7% of the general population. So clergy are the most stressed people in our community. Anxiety and depression are common, with many priests reporting feelings of isolation and loneliness. The Journal of Religion and Health found that clergy often suffer from obesity, hypertension, and diabetes at higher rates than the general population, mainly to stress and poor self-care. Burnout can lead to spiritual fatigue, with some clergy reporting a decline in their personal life. Many clergy are experiencing divorce in their marriages. The Duke Clergy Health Initiative found that 35% of priests experience spiritual dryness. I had touched this in my previous presentation. So the same Burner study found that 39% of priests felt that they had a close friend to confide in, contributing to feelings of isolation and burnout. So priests are people who don't have friends. I'm not sure if you don't make friends easily, or it's just friends befriend us because they want connections. We struggle to connect to God. How can we send somebody to be the best friend of God? So this is what is found, that clergy are lonely people. These statistics underscore the clergy challenges, highlighting the need for better support systems, manageable workloads, and mental health care within ministry context. So the demands placed on priests by their congregations and dioceses and the wider community can be extensive, contributing to the risk of burnout. And here are some of the primary needs and expectations. And when we are ordained and these things are read in our church and the vows that we make, it feels easy and simple, it feels doable. But when you unpack them, you realize that we have tied ourselves to some really challenging things. We are expected as clergy to be spiritual leaders. And part of spiritual leading means that you have to preach and teach. So we are expected to prepare and deliver sermons that really transform people's lives, teach Bible studies, and provide religious education. This doesn't happen through dreams. We have to read and write and research, and that is time. And also sacramental duties. Priests must or are expected to perform sacraments like Eucharist, baptism, marriage, funerals that require you to be available and present. So there's pre and there's post of these things. Again, we are expected to be pastoral caregivers, where we have to do counseling and visitation. So with counseling, priests provide spiritual and emotional support to individuals and families, often dealing with complex issues such as grief, marital problems, and crises. We are also expected to visit people. We have to regularly visit the sick, the elderly, and homebound, along with other visits that happen in the community, which can be time-consuming and emotionally taxing. As we continue to have lay people doing work and assisting clergy, we still have part of our community that wants to see the clergy person everywhere. Where I come from, if someone is in hospital and a lay leader comes or someone else come and visit them, they'll still complain that the church hasn't visited me. Yep. And to them, the church is that the priest has to show up. Until then, no one from the church has been here. And again, we have administrative responsibilities. We are expected to be managers of the plans that we lead. Priests often oversee the day-to-day operations of the church, including managing staff, budgets, facilities. In other contexts, you are the minute taker, you are the rapporteur, you even have to execute what you presented in those minutes and in those services. We attend meetings. We should have a book now written by clergy on how to attend meetings, because we are experts on being in meetings. We participate in parish council meetings, diocesan meetings, provincial meetings. Other organizational structures are part of our roles and meetings. We are expected again to engage with the communities where we serve. Priests are expected to be involved in broader community and engaging in outreach programs, interfaith, interreligious activities, and social justice activism. When things happen in our communities, we are expected to be seen. We are often the face of the church in public events, in media, and local community functions. And there's more that is expected of us. So those of you who are discerning a vocation to the ordained, listen to this. This is what you want to do. Yeah. Above all else, we as clergy are expected to uphold moral and ethical standards. And we know that it is now more cumbersome and tougher with, is it safeguarding in other contexts, and others we talk about safe church. You have to be careful of what you say, how you say it, to who you say it, and please keep your hands to yourself as you say it. Priests are held to higher moral and ethical standards with expectations of exemplary personal conduct. And in all of this, there is an expectation for priests to be always available for the congregation, often at the expense of personal time and family time. It goes back to the issue of boundaries. We have to balance multiple roles. We have to know how to manage time. For some of us, 24 hours is not enough. We need more hours in a day to do what we do. Balancing these roles often leads to long working hours, with some studies indicating that clergy, as I said, work between 50 to 70 hours per week. Despite the heavy demands, priests are often expected to maintain their spiritual and physical health, which is challenging in all of this. What is expected of us in many parishes is that we should know how to be fundraisers. I've never been to a church that has money. Every time you get there, they tell you how bankrupt they are or about to be, and what can you do to help them raise funds. In some churches, priests are involved in or responsible for fundraising efforts, adding to the stress of managing the church's financial health. We are again expected to be experts in conflict resolution. Priests are often called upon to mediate conflict within the congregation, which can be stressful and demanding. So these are responsibilities, but are also demands and their burdens to some, and can lead to feelings of being overwhelmed, exhausted, and inadequacy, mainly in the support systems when it's insufficient. So now, with all of this, how do we connect, or what is the interconnectedness of life as clergy? Because we are beings created in the image and likeness of God. So as clergy and as spiritual leaders and as pastoral caregivers, as managers, as fundraisers, we are part of the more extensive connected web of existence from birth. Every relationship we form, every decision we make, and every experience we undergo contributes to this intricate tapestry of life. This interconnectedness is not random, but is deeply influenced by God. It is as if our lives are a thread in a vast divine fabric, each thread significantly in its way, contributing to the overall design. And each of us has a unique place and has a valued part of this divine plan. So that it's not by accident that you're here. You have a role in God's plan, in what God is doing in our lives. So some of the things that we might consider as coincidental have a way of influencing our lives. A chance meeting that leads to a lifelong friendship, a random decision that alters the course of our career, or a moment of crisis that deepens our faith. These are not mere accidents. They result from a divine plan constantly unfolding around us. God's presence in every detail, guiding and weaving our lives into a coherent, purposeful narrative. This realization should inspire and awe and wonder as we marvel at the intricacy and beauty of God's plan for us. So in all the madness, there is a plan, and which is God's guiding force. Amidst life uncertainties, many people find solace in believing that God is guiding them. And I think that's why some of us are still in the church, and that's why people come to church. Somehow, God is in this plan. This guidance can manifest in various forms, could be through intuition, through signs, or wonders, or signposts, through the inner voice, or wisdom imparted by others. This divine guidance helps us to navigate life's complexities, offering direction when we feel lost, and providing answer when we are in doubt. For instance, consider the times when we face difficult questions and choices as clergy. In these moments, we often seek divine guidance. It is something that comes naturally to us. But in Africa, you might consult God and consult the ancestors at the same time. Or go to, they might not like it when you say that people who practice witchcraft, they say it's part of your origin and guide and upbringing as an African. Many find that after praying or meditating or consulting, they experience a sense of peace or receiving an insight that leads them to the right decision. This is not merely a psychological phenomenon, but a reflection of our deep connection with God, who is ever present and ready to guide us if we are open to listen. So as we navigate these roads, we should not do that on our own strength, but rely on God's strength. So in this, what is the role of faith and how do we trust? Some of us have felt betrayed by the same church that we have said yes to and want to serve God through. Some of us have been let down by the leadership of the church. So central to this relationship with God is the role of faith. Faith is the belief in something greater than ourselves. The trust that even when life is challenging, there is a purpose behind it. This allows us to persevere through hardships, knowing that we are not alone and that our struggles are part of a larger plan. Faith is not about having all answers, but it is about trusting in the process. It is the conviction that we are being cared for and guided by a loving God, despite the uncertainties and the unknowns. This trust enables us to move forward even when the path ahead is unclear. It gives us the courage to face life challenges with hope and resilience, knowing that we are supported by a force more significant than ourselves. And in this, what we need is God's grace. Grace in everyday life. So one of the most profound ways our connection with God is manifested through grace. Grace is the unearned, unconditional love and favor that God bestows on us. It is present in our everyday lives, often in ways we might overlook. These instances of grace are reminders of God's presence and love, subtle yet powerful affirmations that we are not alone. And I think when you find yourself stuck or in a process of giving up, it helps to know that you are not alone. Grace is also evident in how we are given the strength to overcome challenges. When we look back on difficult periods, and we all have those periods to look back to. Some of us don't even want to remember those moments. We often realize that grace carried us through, whether it was through the support of loved ones, an unexpected opportunity, or simply the endurance of going on and keep going. This grace is a testament to the divine love that surrounds us, guiding and protecting us every step of the way. So where does joy come in all of this? Something that might be common is that ministry can be wonderful and ministry can be stressful. But how do we share the joy that we find in this ministry? There are a few things that, experts will recommend, and even not experts can think this makes sense. So here's some of the few things that you might want to do or focus on when things seems to be still and quiet, or when the going gets tough. One is to take a break for yourself. Clergy no longer take sabbaticals. Feels too much and expensive. But it's important that we have that time away. And I love thinking of the church as a time of reevaluation and time of study and time of reflection. Set aside time to do something that you genuinely enjoy when you're taking a break for yourself. And we have different things. Some of us are creative, but we have lost that creative juice because we don't practice. I'm sure there are artists sitting here There are woodworkers sitting here, carpenters. I'm sure there are composers sitting here. But we have lost touch of that because we haven't been doing that for ourselves. It has been said about other people, and I think clergy need that too. We need a gratitude journal. We are the ones who can tell God what's going wrong, because we hear of so much of that is going wrong. But spending time and reflecting on what you're grateful for does help. It can shift your focus from what is weighing you down to what is lifting your spirit. As the study has shown, that clergy don't have many friends, or clergy don't have friends. We're not too old to reach out and make new friendships. Find friends, people who don't talk shop with you, but can talk nonsense with you. Do something creative, as I said. Serve differently. I think our work of service is connected to the vocation and ministry. But there are other ways that we can serve that really doesn't need you to be the priest in that instance. That just need to be a person who cares. Reflect on your purpose. And I think this for me has become really urgent when you realize that life is short. We are not guaranteed tomorrow. All we know and have control over is today. So how do I use the time that God has given me to bring joy, to rekindle passion, to have other people who journey along with me in this journey of life find me a worthful sojourner, a worthful companion. So when we do this often, amidst all the things that we experience in ministry, we will find joy. So in conclusion, in a world that often seems chaotic and unpredictable, the belief that our lives are intertwined with God offers a profound comfort and meaning. It reminds us that we are not isolated beings adrift in the universe, but part of a larger divine plan. Every aspect of our existence, our movements, our decisions, and experiences are connected to our higher purpose, guided by a force greater than ourselves. This relationship with God is a beautiful and reassuring truth that brings light to our darkness and moments of joy in our everyday lives. By embracing this connection, we can navigate life complexities with peace and trust, knowing that we are always in divine grace and love, that our very existence and movements and lives are truly intertwined with God. In this truth lies the foundation of life filled with purpose, strength, and grace. So in whatever we do, we have to remember in God we move, we have our being, and we exist.